Right. Hi everyone. My name's Marcel. I run an online business called Warfigure. One of the things we do is send 3D printed miniatures through the post to customers. You've seen plenty of unboxing videos. I thought it might be a good idea to actually do a boxing up video. There's a few things that are worth noticing when you send a figure. So, when sending a figure, what do you need? Pretty obvious, really. You're going to need a box, bubble wrap, tape, and the figures. Here is a little box of figures that I have made earlier. One of our customers ordered a Cerberus, which is a fantastic creature, quite literally. A set of shields to fit Primaris Marines, and a kitbash skirt from Azrael, the figure. So we have here shields, Cerberus, and so on. I've got a couple of other things in the box that I have been keeping. This is a figure for a replacement figure for somebody who bought something where they noticed a mark on it, and out of sheer politeness almost, but certainly out of workman's pride, I couldn't let it go. I offered them an extra figure, and this I will come on to afterwards. This is actually a 20mm goblin figure. 20mm is pretty tiny. That's pushing the limits of what a 3D printer can do. But again, it still needs to be sent through the post. Let's start with this one. Here's a load of kitbash stuff. I should have 16 shields, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16. I thought I might have 17. No, 15, 16, that's correct. One skirt type device. They had previously ordered a torso, which wasn't the right size, so I've redone them a torso, and they're interested in a horse-sized wolf figure. Cerberus, fantastic. This one is particularly awkward because it's got a curly tail. I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to lie it like that on its back and use the bubbles to hold it. This one's quite awkward because it's quite flanged and wide. These are good examples. So I've got the figures, let's get the box. This type of box is absolutely ideal. You can get the mug boxes, but this one is so hard to pull apart once it's made, I can't really easily show you without breaking the box. These come flat packed and you build them up. Fold, twisting, fold, twisting, fold. Sorry, Dan. Fold over. Be honest about repairs. You're going to need tape. In this case, I'm using cheap eBay tape because as an eBay seller of other items, eBay tape is fantastically useful, does the job, very visible, quite easy. Now, I'm using big bubble wrap for this. This is not going to fit as a large letter, so that's quite important if it does, but since it doesn't, this will go as a packet. You want the big stuff. The stuff that goes fut rather than bop. Right, enough of that. And here's a piece I cut earlier. What I've literally done with these boxes is kind of roughly box-sized piece, so that when I fold it over and make a pocket out of it, then it will fit nicely. What I sometimes do is cut these in half and put in an extra reinforcing rod of cardboard. But this should be fine. It's going locally, it's not going internationally, and most of it is hard as nails. And a lot of it's flat and simple. So the flat and simple stuff I will just arrange. These guys are going to be the tricky ones. I think for these we are better off up at the top end, but I might even get an extra bit of bubble wrap and reinforce the size of the other things. There are a couple of ways we can do it. We can fold up to it and then fold over. We could, like I say, get extra bubble wrap. We could even do a bit of a fudge and roll up this a little, like that, to make quite a good template. In fact, I think I might do that, to be honest. It looks like the best way of taking the pressure off on those figures. So, rolling it tight. I'll put the figures up near the end. There's a good reason for doing that. And the others can just sit in the pocket. So this will be my pocket. That's my bit of bubble wrap to stop it from going pop. I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. Oh, the joys of being prepared. I'm going to grab a pair of scissors and cut this off. Right, there we go. I want to protect these from both ends, so I'm going to put an extra layer of bubble wrap in there to try and match the height of these from that side and from the other. There we go. When flat, that's pretty good. There are a couple of claws sticking out from Cerberus's foot, but I'm not going to get him thinner any other way. So that's going to be my pocket that sits inside my box. But obviously, when you cut into a pocket, that's precisely what you do. You chop at the edges. You want to make the actual edges as clear and plain as possible, which is where things like blue gaudy tape come into play. In order to make my pocket what I actually want to do is show where the lines are. So if someone cuts along, they're not actually cutting into figures and they can see what they're doing. I'm turning it round to do the same thing here. Catch the edge. I find it easier to put it onto the edge rather than trying to attach it mid-air or something. And if the pocket looks a bit funny, well, that's alright. It's really obvious where you can cut. So the bubble wrap although you can reuse it, you're not going to reuse all of it. Some of that edge is going to be lost, but it's not going to affect the figures. So place the bubble wrap on, fold it over, squish it down. There is my pocket. The only bit I'm worried about slightly here is I think I might have caught one of Cerberus's foot with the extra padding. Now, putting it in the box, is our job complete? No, it's not. Just before it goes, I also want to make sure that the pocket itself is taped down to this box, so that if it gets dented, it takes it on the box, not on the packaging, on the bubble wrap rather, and so that if it gets turned upside down or whatever, the pocket stays as close to the bottom as possible. So, thankfully, I've got a bit of tape to do precisely that. And again, when it comes to unboxing, I'm hoping that it will be really obvious what's going on here. So why bother with that? When you turn it upside down, it doesn't rattle, doesn't pull. That stuff's being held in by this pocket, and that pocket is being held away from the lid by this cardboard. As I say, if it were going internationally, I wouldn't just do that. If it were going internationally, I would make sure there's a reinforcing bar going down it, even if I have to cut out the pocket like an archway and put the support bar across. This one isn't going internationally, this is going to the UK, but that's quite thick. That's not going to be a large letter, that's not going through a letterbox, that's a packet. So that's Dan's packet. To make it just as obvious, I am also going to tape up a couple of bits. Now, I've sent quite a lot of things through the post. In another job, we send hundreds, thousands per week. That will be fine going to the UK. However, I'd rather overstate it. This is where extra bits come in. This stuff is really helpful. You can stick stickers on as well, and I do. But I find if you put the word fragile on in giant red writing, some people notice, and it makes a difference to how much stuff gets through. To be fair, if I was a postie and I was rushing and at speed, I'd much rather somebody wrote in giant red writing fragile on something than just hoped it would get through. The people who just hope seems a bit hopeful to me. So I'm going to do it two ways. There we go. So it's obvious how to open it, it's obvious that it's fragile. The box is what takes the pressure, not the padding, not the bubble wrap, that's just in case on the inside, and essentially that's to hold things without letting them flop around too much. And those have created a pocket for inside the packet. Finally, there are a couple of things I want to do with this that I wouldn't do with a large letter, which are, I'd like to put a little sticker on the back that says where it comes from, and I'd like to put some more fragile things on wherever there are important bits that cover up this tape. But by doing this tape this way, I've got a label space there, I've got a label space here. It's fairly obvious how the packet works, so people aren't going to catch it too easily by accident. I'll just tuck that out of the way. I might even take that down. Shouldn't need to, should be alright like that. Alright, so that's a packet. Dan will enjoy that shortly. I'll print the labels in. If you can get away with it though, you don't want a packet. Instead, what you want is one of these. Same thing. Folding in, creasing in, folding over, and create a box. But this box is 25mm or smaller, which means that this box will actually go through a letterbox. Basically what you want is something 20 or 25mm on the depth that is A4 or less, and this is considerably smaller than A4. It makes the box a lot tougher to dent, which is great news, especially on tiny things, and instead of, well, it's about half the price of a packet. Obviously, I'm not going to send little tiny things without the bubble wrap, but for this box, I'm going to use smaller bubble wrap. This customer has actually bought just this. There we go, one 20mm little goblin. That is supremely tiny. Very difficult to get perfect. I've had several goes in order to do so. I don't like waste, so for each of the goes where I've had a go and failed, including the hammer coming off, I did have two hammers, one's lost. I'm sorry, I would give you both if I had them. For where the hammer is on but the back of him has had a bit taken out, so he hasn't got quite the right coattails. In Warfigure we don't accept that. That's perfect. This is close, but as far as I'm concerned, it's waste. It's a spare. Have it. I'm going to pack that in smaller bubble wrap. If you have two sizes of bubble wrap, it makes a huge difference. I'm going to pocket it in exactly the same way, and then I can send it as a large letter. So essentially, when sending a figure like this, what you need is, first and foremost, get a box. Really important. A decent box will do you very well, whether it be a mug style box or one of these ones. And then you're going to need bubble wrap. You can't really get away without it. Tissue paper is not going to work. Choose the size of bubble wrap based on the size of the box and the figures. Tiny bubble wrap, you're going to have to double, treble wrap it if you're going to use bigger figures. And finally, create a pocket, a cuttable pocket. I've tried every which way. I've tried to save bubble wrap because I don't like using too much plastic. I've tried to reuse old bubble wrap, you name it. In the end, bite the bullet, give them a bit more than they need, and make sure that they've got an area where they can cut in. If you've got an area where you can cut in and you make it obvious with tape, gaudy tape, then you're going to enjoy that. It's going to be an easy experience. Oh, I could get at my minis. Fantastic. Seal it in at the bottom. Tape it actually. For these, I might make a pocket that's only this big. I'm going to actually tape it down on the inside. Rob's going to like that. He's going to find it easy to see exactly how to get at the minis. He's probably going to cut the tape off at the same time as he opens the pocket, and they'll be safe inside. Good job. That's how you send a figure. That's how you box a product. Hopefully